Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? I see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up. And thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRay, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. Today's film review will be on sci-fi horror, Color Out of Space.
Could you please tell us exactly what happened?
Well, there was a boom. It was a couple nights ago, a boom and a flash of light and a vibration, and we came out and we saw this large rock.
Horrible.
And it had some
Hideous.
smoke. And,
Oh my God, couldn't somebody have given me a comb? Jesus.
Before we get started, I just want to tell my 53 subscribers that you mean the world to me. And I want to thank you for being so understanding, as I was unable to post last Thursday and Friday. My shooting schedule got messed up because of the Texas power outage, which left us without electricity for about 4 days. But we were very lucky because we still had running water and we were able to still go and get food. My heart goes out to everyone who is still suffering, and I'm sending you all my love. So this film is about a family who has just moved to an alpaca farm, and soon after a meteor lands in their front yard. The family begins to battle this extraterrestrial organism, and it begins to affect them each differently. Directed by Richard Stanley, it stars Nicolas Cage, Jolie Richardson, Madeline Arthur, Elliot Knight, Brendan Mayer, and Julian Hilliard. This is an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's short story of the same name. Lovecraft is essentially the Shakespeare of the sci-fi horror genre. From his work, Lovecraft built a shared world where many artists were able to build from it or be inspired from it. He wasn't a very well-known artist while he was alive, and he died alone and in poverty at the age of 46. The central theme of Lovecraftian horror is that humans are insignificant in this vast universe. It plays on the fact that if humans were to witness the unknown things of the cosmos, that it would be too much for us to handle and we would forever be changed. Doesn't really sound like sci-fi to me. And in this film, you definitely get visuals that will forever change you. While H.P. Lovecraft is racist, his work has influenced so many films and novels. Some of my favorite films that are Lovecraftian are The Mist, Cabin in the Woods, and The Lighthouse, and there are so many more. There's a lot of controversy over using the work of a known racist. There was even an award given to artists that's a bust of H.P. Lovecraft that was turned into a tree, which upset artists because they said they should be able to separate his racist tones while still using his work for inspiration. Jordan Peele has actually gotten a lot of flack from his recent series Lovecraft Country because it is in a Lovecraftian world. Based on the description of the film and the trailer, I did expect a different kind of lead up to the eventful ending. This film has the same producers as Mandy, Spectrovision, which came out the year prior, and while I wasn't expecting the same film because they were two different directors, I was just expecting a little bit more intensity. Instead, we have this really long build-up where nothing really happens after the meteorite lands. I may have had some expectations of this film being a little bit more artsy than it was, but it ended up being a little bit formulaic and Hollywoody. And that's not necessarily a bad trait for a film to have, but I just have to be expecting it, and it is for a certain type of film. And having Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong in there kind of sealed the deal on that idea for me. I felt like taking his scenes out wouldn't have changed the film at all. With that said, I really did enjoy this film, even though it took me a minute to get settled in. The cinematography is more than beautiful. The colors are very vibrant and make for a beautiful scene. So while we have this long lead up to the family's madness, we have these scenes where the scenery is becoming more and more beautiful. We're watching the family slowly change little by little, and we don't know why. We just know it has something to do with the meteorite that just landed in their front yard. The details in this film are on point. In the very first scene of the film, we learn that the water is being surveyed, so there might be something wrong with it. So we get these ice and water details throughout the film that are a nice touch. Aside from their actions, the family is visibly getting more and more sick, and it's represented by the red around their eyes. And if you don't notice it at first, it's definitely noticeable toward the end. This is another role that Nicolas Cage is perfectly cast in. I couldn't help but laugh every time he went into one of his tangents. The extraterrestrial organism is affecting everybody differently, and for Nick, he has a deep fear of becoming his father, and this is what the meteorite is bringing out of him. Richard Stanley liked some of the elements in Nick Cage's character Peter Lowe in Vampire Kiss, so Nick channeled some of Peter Lowe for this character, and it really gives some interesting comic relief. It makes me wonder how much of the script was intended to be funny versus what ended up being funny because Nick delivered those lines. This is Richard Stanley's return after over 20 years. I'm sure he was excited to get Nicolas Cage for this role. Stanley started writing this script about 10 years ago. The last film he directed was The Island of Dr. Moreau, but he was fired a few days after they started shooting because he kept butting heads with people on set, most notably Val Kilmer. They bought him a plane ticket to go home, but he instead stayed in Australia and would go to the bars that the crew would go to. He eventually ended up back on set in full costume and makeup and was a background actor for the remainder of the shoot. Richard Stanley is calling Color Out of Space the first of a Lovecraftian trilogy. His next film will be based on H.P. Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horror. I do like the music in this film, but when I mentioned the Hollywoody feel earlier, it was really reinforced with the placement of the music at the beginning of the film. But overall, it was successful and it really drew you in those intense moments. I might have preferred darker music throughout the whole film instead of starting light and ending up dark. The special effects are dope, especially one scene where it is really difficult to look at, and that's all I'll have to say about it for you to know exactly what I'm talking about. The alpaca scene comes second. Almost all of the effects were done with practicals and then done over in post with visual effects, and that is a lot of work, and I think that's pretty cool. They shot this film in Portugal where they got a lot of incentives and had a lot of freedom to do what they wanted to do. I enjoyed the story, but unfortunately I just saw the daughter as annoying and bratty. So that also contributed to me being a little bit detached at the beginning because they focus on her so much at the start of the film. Maybe it's intended that the audience is annoyed by her, but I never come around to getting on her side. I want to feel more connected to her because of her witchy vibes, I just never get there with her. I really love this narrative of extraterrestrial beings having unfathomable control over humans, and humans being so unknowingly fragile. If you've read H.P. Lovecraft's short story Color Out of Space, let me know in the comments section if Richard Stanley did a good adaptation. Did he do it justice? Overall, this is a good film with mesmerizing visuals and a lead who has the ability to transform on a dime. The build-up provides a massive reward in the conclusion, and you're just kind of left wondering what in the world just happened. I'm giving this film a 3.5 rainbow skulls out of 5. You can find this one on Shudder. Well, thank you again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it and hit the like button. And if you want to join the Rainbow Fright Freight Train, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every Thursday and Friday when I post more videos like this. And I hope I see you tomorrow. I'll be talking about the happy face killer while I show you how I did these nails. All right, y'all. Peace.